Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel. If you're new, I'm Nyx with Crowmates Apothecary, and today I'm bringing you a tarot pick-a-card reading where we're going to be looking into whether or not they will be returning to your life. So this is going to be a little bit different than our usual pick-a-card readings. What I'd like you to do is I'd like you to think upon one particular person before you make your decision. And if you happen to have more than one that you'd like to go through, feel free to come back to this video after you've watched your first reading to get messages for 2, 3, or even 4 people. Also, I wanted to let everyone know before we get started that this is going to be more tailored towards situations where this is a romantic situation. Either it is a situation with an ex, or it could also encompass to those touch and go kind of relationships where you guys aren't quite sure if you were in something, or maybe there was a crush on one person and then the other kind of thing. So those sorts of relationships also apply to today's reading. So when you have your person in mind, feel free to look at the decks that I have laid out before you and then make your decision. Starting on the far left side, we have the Pastel Journey Tarot deck, along with this Honey Calcite representing group number 1. Then we have the OK Tarot with this Pink Crystal Quartz representing group number 2. Then we have the Kauai Tarot with this Pink Agate Crystal representing group number 3. And then lastly, we have the Pink Pain Tarot and this Yellow Adventuring representing group number 4. So if you need to, feel free to pause the video and take a moment to meditate on the decks that I have laid out before you. And when you've made your decision, head on down to the description box below and then click on the timestamp that corresponds with your group. Remember to leave a like, comment, and subscribe for more tarot pick-a-card readings in the future and to join the Crow Coven. And I will see you guys in your readings. Hello group number 1, and welcome to your reading all about whether or not they will or will not return to your life. So once again, this is all about a very particular person, so keep that person in mind as you are listening to this reading. And also know that this is specifically about those sort of, either you guys had a romantic relationship, or you guys are maybe you're not talking anymore, but you used to talk and there was a little bit of flirting going on. So this is what this reading is going to be about, just in case you didn't catch it in the intro. So to get you guys started, you chose the Pastel Journey Tarot deck along with this Honey Calcite. And with this Honey Calcite, this can really emanate a sort of like warm, nurturing energy. So there's very much a almost like motherly sense here. It can really help in deepening your sense of safety and also self-worth. On the opposite side of things, it can also really help deal with the need for comfort and restoring your confidence when you have dealt with trauma or abuse. So while it still has that warm energy, it is very much tackling a very harsh and hard subject. So if this is a sort of situation where you may have had a toxic relationship, a very rocky relationship, this can be here to help protect you during that time in case you possibly don't want that energy coming back into your life. But we're seeing this sense of warmth and sense of self-worth to where it's showing that you are garnering this, you are gathering this back to yourself. And I'm seeing this here as your energy. It could be possible that it is that person's energy. Maybe they were very warm and nurturing, but I'm really getting that this is your energy. You give out a lot of love. You almost give out this motherly type vibe. So the very first thing that I would like to do before I pull any tarot cards is I'm going to roll this astro dice. And this could be either your or their sun, moon, or rising. So the very first one we have coming up is Gemini. Ooh, the next one we have coming up is Libra. And then lastly, we are seeing Aries. So we have 2 air and a fire sign here. I'll just set that right here. And then we also have these tiles. So I'm gonna pull out, I'm thinking 5. I'm gonna pull out 5 tiles, and this may have to do with you guys' initials, or if you can think of any words that kind of draw you in that start with these letters. The first one we have is O, G, Q, H, and R. So it could be you guys' first or last names, maybe nicknames. And we will get right into your reading now. So I hope you have been doing well, group number 1. I hope that this is an energy that you don't feel too much negativity towards or any harshness from. If you do, of course, that's completely fine. Will this person return into group 1's life? The first card we have is the 6 of Cups in the reverse position. I'm also going to pull 5 cards. The Magician in the reverse position. Eight of Wands. The Page of Wands. And lastly, the 3 of Cups. Okay, so what I am getting from this reading here, I will say outright, I do not feel as if there is going to be a reconnection. So for those of you who are happy with that, congratulations. For those of you who were hoping for a little bit more, I'm thinking it could be a maybe, but I'm quite sure that it's trying to indicate that there is some need for you to move on from this past relationship. And how I am seeing that is because in the 6 of Cups in the reverse position, this is talking about you being stuck in the past. It's normally a card that deals with childhood memories and nostalgia. This maybe even somebody who could have been a childhood friend, but when we're seeing this in the reverse position, I think they pulled away from your inner child a little bit. I think they kind of made you a little bit jaded in life and in love. You want to maybe believe that that didn't happen during the relationship, but then when you look at yourself a little bit more critically, you can kind of tell that you changed a little bit. And this is whether or not you guys had a good breakup or if you had this touch and go relationship. I think it's almost giving a little bit of an unrealistic point of view where you're almost seeing it as it could be like sunshine and rainbows a little bit, that naivety that comes from the 6 of Cups in reverse, but needing to almost have this wake-up call and realizing that whatever reason as to why this ended, it was to better you in the end. With the 6 of Cups, I really want to point out that stuck in the past moment, how it feels almost like you are clinging and thinking on this past relationship because of a certain reason. There's something that really has you have this stuck energy and makes it hard for you to move beyond it, which is why maybe this connection with the honey calcite here, that need to feel loved and mothered, almost that nurturing energy beyond that possibly abusive relationship is trying to indicate to you that there is healing that needs to be done. In the Magician in the reverse position, we are seeing this is again showing me that you have the power to change your position as to where you're at when it comes to your mindset when you're thinking about this. But because you are stuck in the past, you can't get over whatever the situation was. The Magician shows a sense of manipulation. So it could have been manipulation on the part of this person that is no longer in your life. And there was something that they did or hid from you in the relationship. And that could possibly be why there was that movement and why there was you needing to break the relationship off. The Magician reverse gives me almost like this like sneaky kind of like feeling where it was definitely someone using their power against you in a way that was underhanded. Next, we see in the Eight of Wands, this is about quick change, speed, movement, action. So I'm thinking that this was almost a very quick breakup. Maybe not in the sense of like you guys were not together for very long, but I feel like when something came to light, there was this very quick movement in order to be like, okay, we're done. Like it didn't linger. There wasn't this period where you guys were like, maybe we could make this work. I could also see this Eight of Wands as being when you are able to allow yourself this release and you break away from the Six of Cups moment, you'll have this quick movement of suddenly your life will begin to open up and have this potential again. And that you'll be able to see progress on your end, because I think right now you're having this hard time in being able to see any progress. And I think it's just, you've got some hangups that are really keeping you in place for a little while. We have the Page of Wands here, and in this card, this really shows a sense of discovery and this person who has very much this free spirit. So it's possible that that was you prior to this relationship, or it could be that you could be reaching once again this free spirit and this movement in order to be new again, instead of feeling again that stuck kind of situation. We also have, what I'm seeing from the Page of Wands is this, I'm trying to think, like this really intense enthusiasm to move forward and to no longer feel like someone is holding something over you, is the feeling that I'm getting. Lastly, we see in the Three of Cups here, and one of the things that could have indicated a possible like hidden agenda is the Three of Cups reversed tends to show that there was some sort of affair. So it could have been that this person cheated on you and you found out about it, and that's why you guys broke up, and now you're holding on to this pain of having been cheated on by this person. So now it's hard for you to open up. It's hard for you to let go of the situation. It could also indicate if there wasn't a like cheating moment, or there wasn't even another person, it could have been indicative of some sort of like competition. So there could have been more than just you who had interest in this person, and maybe it was a situation where they were like, oh, that person, don't worry about them, like I don't think about them at all, kind of thing. But deep down you're always really like worried about whether or not something could have branched off, like if you weren't around, what would happen, kind of situation. So this could just sort of be indicative of what happened to cause that breakup. Overall, we're seeing a lot of more like stuck and negative cards here, and almost like a need for quick change and to bring yourself back to this free spirit kind of moment. For those of you who are wondering, I don't see this person as someone who is going to reach out to you, and if they reach out to you, it isn't going to be because of a want to apologize or to kind of settle anything. It almost feels like if they were to reach out, it's because they liked the attention that you gave them, and they kind of wanna almost like win you back and kind of have this continue. And that's gonna leave you in this constant state of wondering if you're actually like the one in their like mind and their heart. But I'm getting this feeling like you know the answer to that already, but it's just you're having a hard time wanting to look at that and really be able to move on. So I'm gonna pull just a few more cards for any last messages. For group one, any last messages? You're seeing Aquarius. So we now have all three of the air signs that are showing up. So I'm feeling one or either of you, or both of you rather, have some air sign that's in you. Aquarius also says on it visionary, inventive, and eccentric. So it's possible that it could be indicating either you or this person had these traits about you. I'm especially picking up on that eccentric. I'm picking up on someone who's maybe just like not afraid to be who they are and really like live themselves very out loud. Last messages. We have crown showing up, which says connected and elevated. I think that means that this person is on your mind a lot. I'm getting the feeling like some of you, when you guys did break up, you either didn't take them off of your social media or block them from your social media, and you're like to the point where you can kind of still see what it is that's going on in their life. Sorry, I went to say lives and stumbled. So I think like you kind of have this insight into this person. I don't know if you guys are completely no contact, but I get the feeling like there's some like hurt feelings there, and you kind of keep tabs on them. Like maybe you kind of stalk them a little bit online. I feel like you would do a lot for yourself if you did block and move on, especially seeing this with this being on the Eight of Wands. Yes, the Eight of Wands, that quick movement. I think this can start to heal your journey, is if you do block them and don't look at anything regarding their social media, you can kind of take some further steps. Any last messages for group one? We have amethyst showing up for you, and this is intuition. So really listening to yourself during this time is going to help you navigate this situation. I think that you know what it is that you need to do in order to move beyond this person, in order to release yourself from some of this stuck in the past feelings here. And it's just about putting in that work now. And also listening to yourself when it comes to if you think this would be beneficial for you guys in the future, or if it would hurt you. So if there was any sort of contact where they did come back into your life, how would it realistically make you feel? Would you have this free spirit and this ability to move on, especially if it was a situation where they cheated on you? Or would you constantly have that in the back of your head. You know what I mean? So just make sure that you are protecting yourself and you're listening to yourself very, very strongly during this time, and don't second guess your intuition. All right, so group one, to recap, make sure that you are digging down deep and try to see if you can tell if this is a situation that you truly want to come to fruition. I'm not seeing this person reaching out to you. So I believe that as long as you are not interested in reaching out to them, that you guys will have this separation. But I'm seeing it still affecting you. I'm seeing this stuck in the past moment here, this feeling where you have this unrealistic expectation either of them reaching out to you, or maybe they would be different now that time has passed. But I'm seeing that whoever this magician reversed here is someone who possibly manipulated the situation. They could have just not told you the truth about something, or they used their power in a way that was to benefit them and hid something from you. There is this quick movement here. So either you quickly moved on from this situation, but you're still thinking about it in the back of your mind, where as soon as you found out, you were like, I'm done with them. Or there's this possibility of this quick change where you're able to be able to get over them the moment you start actively thinking about your healing journey, giving way to this Page of Wands moment where you will be able to have this new free spirit, being able to discover and explore yourself in a new way instead of being stuck in the past. And lastly, I was seeing this indication of this possible cheating, or possible there were multiple people that were into this person, and that's what caused this breakup in the first place. So just make sure that you listen to yourself, this intuition. Make sure you listen to yourself about what it is that you need to do, and don't try to work against your gut. Whatever your gut feeling is, go with that. Also, if you are connected with this person for some reason, make sure you sever your ties, because I don't think that this is the end-all be-all situation for you, group number one. So if you liked this reading or it resonated with you, remember to leave a like, comment, and subscribe for more Tarot Pick a Card readings in the future, and to join our Crow Coven. And if it's safe to do so, let me know if this resonated. This was a very distinct message. It jumped out at me, and if this sounds like your story, let me know. I hope you guys take care and stay safe, and I will see you guys in our next video. Hello, group two, and welcome to your reading all about whether or not they will or will not return to your life. So starting out, I would love for you to keep this person in mind, and make sure that you know before we start this reading, if you didn't see it in the intro, that this is going to be some sort of situation where either you guys are exes, or this was an on again, off again kind of thing, or maybe you guys had crushes on one another when it wasn't convenient. So anything that has to do with a romantic relationship is what this reading is going to be about. So you chose the OK Tarot along with this pink crystal quartz. And what I'd like to mention in this pink crystal quartz is this is a crystal that's really about affection, about love in almost like a pure sense. It can really help amplify these feelings of love and this feeling of just overall safety. This is also a crystal that I like to believe helps with our self-love and our self-worth. So for those of you who may have had a more tumultuous relationship and you need a little bit of self-love and you need to work on strengthening your self-worth, this is here to help protect you during this reading as well. And before we get started, I would love to roll this Astro dice here, and this is going to help a little bit with figuring out if this is truly your reading. So this is going to be either yours or their sun, moon, or rising sign. So let's go ahead and get started. The first one we have coming out is Sagittarius. And then next we have Taurus. And lastly, we have Libra. So I will set this aside. And then next, I'm going to delve into these tiles that I have. And I'd like to see if we can pull, I'm gonna pull 5 tiles, and we will see if it's either one of you guys' initials, your first or last name, or even possibly a nickname. So let's go ahead and get started with these. The first one we have coming out is P. Then we have E. Next we have Y. Then I. And lastly we have A. So when I was pulling these, I actually got, when I saw PE, I thought of Peter, but then when I saw PE and I was pulling the next tile, I was like like Peyton, but normally I spell Peyton like with an A. And then I pulled the Y and I was like, oh wow. So those could be very significant. So let's go ahead and get started. This is upside down. Sorry, I had to fix that. So let's go ahead and get started with your reading. So I hope you guys have been having an amazing week. I hope that whatever this relationship was, I hope that you guys were able to leave it on a good note and not something that's super negative. Let's tap into group 2's person and whether or not they will return into group 2's life. The first one we are seeing is the 7 of Wands. Ooh, I wanted to pull these guys at the exact same time. My hand kind of held them. So I'm going to read these 2 together. We're seeing the Devil in the upright position and the Moon in the reverse position. I'd like 2 more. The 10 of Wands. Oof. You know what? That is a lot of cards, but we are gonna go with it because those really wanted to come out as well. So I feel like you guys have messages here that you really need to see. Particularly, I want these 2. I'm gonna get rid of the ones that are underneath because these ones really caught my eye. I'll keep those on the side in case we see more messages. So let's go ahead and go with these cards for you, group number 2. You had a lot more that flew out than the other group, than group 1. Also, I wanted to make a correction. This is the 10 of Wands in the reverse position as well. So what I am getting from this reading and what I'm thinking is the overall vibe of this reading is I am getting a overall no, that this person will not come back into your life. And whether you see this as a good thing or not, I feel at the end of the day that this is actually beneficial to you. So what I mean by that is you could be currently going through a situation where maybe you wanted some advice from this reading because you are really clinging on to and wanting this person to return to you. But there are some very clear signs as to why I'm seeing this as not being beneficial, and we're gonna go ahead and get into that part now. So starting off, we have the 7 of Wands, and in this card we're seeing a lot of challenges here. I'm seeing this as your relationship was a challenge. You really had to almost fight to be heard in this relationship. It could have been very competitive in the sense of you guys were either trying to not even like one up each other, but like one of you needed to get the like last word in. Like there was someone, you guys knew how to push each other's buttons, and there was just this inability to come together in a way that made it so you guys were harmonizing. And it just felt constantly like a battle. You had to almost like push yourself to really work and want this relationship to happen. And it just eventually in the end broke down. And what we saw here was when I went to pull that second card in the Devil, I pulled the Devil and the Moon reversed at the same exact time. So I'm seeing these as being really pulled together. And it's very interesting in these cards because with the Devil in particular, in the original Rider-Waite tarot deck, the Devil is actually a figure that is holding onto the chains of two figures, and those are the figures that are featured in the Lovers card. So it's almost giving me this feeling of you felt bound during this time. You felt really addicted to this relationship though, because even though it was tumultuous, you guys really like had this really deep attraction to one another, and it could be even a very intense sexual attraction to one another. Let's just call it like it is. It was very much a very lust-filled situation. For those of you who are like, this is not it at all, this simply may not be your pile, because this is giving such clear vibes that you guys were bonded together in a way that was very overtly not good for either of you. And it was hard to see because we see here in the Moon reversed that this card is about a lot of confusion and also a need to release fear. So needing to release this feeling from the Devil here. When the Moon is in the upright positions, it's about illusion. So it's possible that you couldn't see how bad you guys were for one another until you did come into some form of separation. The Devil also gives me that this person was very, very attractive. Maybe they had a like silver tongue, they had a very quick wit, they were just very passionate and very charming. Also, because this is so, I know it didn't come up when we rolled the Astro dice, but the Devil is linked with Capricorn, so they could have a Capricorn placement somewhere as well. And I'm seeing this as specifically like this person and also you guys together in this relationship that you guys had. Whether it was a full relationship or a one-night stand or something, you're thinking about this person for some reason. So you need to be able to let go of the hang-ups that you have with the Devil. And also in the card of the Devil and the Rider-Waite, where he's holding on to the Lovers are able to break free. They can just take the chains off of themselves and exit, but they feel like they can't. So this almost feels like you can't move on, but you very much can push through this fear, push through this illusion and this confusion that you have about this situation and move on from it. We're seeing here in the Ten of Wands reversed that there was a need to recognize that you were just taking on like way too much when it came to this. Like it almost feels like at the end of the day when you guys broke up that you were suddenly like relieved and just like you had so much time to yourself. You suddenly had so much less stress. And you could see it in hindsight where you're just like, oh wow, like I feel so much better now that I'm not in that. This card can also indicate that maybe you think about them when you don't want to look at the responsibilities of your day-to-day life. So say you're really putting off needing to like make a phone call or see somebody get something done. you kind of almost distract yourself with this person. And I think that they just keep coming back to your mind. And it's very hard for you. And it's like almost frustrating where you are like, why am I still thinking about them? And then the two cards that flew out at the end when I was trying to make one selection, I'm seeing these as going together, and I'm seeing these very much as you. We have the Empress here, so this could be indication that you have these feminine qualities. You may not identify as female, but if you do, this is very, very literal. But if you don't, it could just be that you have more feminine qualities, because I'm seeing the Devil as the opposite party. Again, they don't have to identify as male, but it's more likely than not that they do. And I'm seeing you as after you broke up, because this came down here, this was almost like separate. So this is kind of giving me a little bit of your energy right now, is you kind of have been able to come back to this very regal state, this very royal, reserved state of holding your head up high, being able to go back in flux to your natural femininity, your natural beauty, and being able to have this sense of self again. You're having this moment where you're able to have this self-worth and really work on your confidence again after this relationship. I obviously still see you tied to this person. The fact that the Devil is above this card here kind of makes me feel like they're still in your mind, or you make decisions where you think about them and you really shouldn't. I don't know why I'm getting that, but it's really feeling like that. And next to the Empress, we have the Four of Cups. And this card deals with needing to reevaluate your situation and what's going on. So this card can also deal with needing to really contemplate something, really meditate on an answer. And it can also leave you feeling really apathetic about something. So maybe there was this really big breakup, and now you're sitting there being like, I have all this time to myself, and I don't really care about like the potential of finding a new love or something like that. And you're sitting here having to pick up the pieces is what I'm seeing. In this card, generally it's a figure who's sitting against a tree with their arms crossed, and they have 3 cups sitting before them, and somebody is offering them a 4th cup, and they're just kind of looking at it like, I don't really care that that's being handed to me. So it's almost like a new opportunity could be handed to you, but you just are not seeing it for what it could be because of what happened here. That's the vibes that I'm getting out, right? So let's pull some more messages for group number 2. Any final messages? We have Aries coming out. So this shows adventurous, confident, and driven. So this could be one of you, or this could be maybe even the relationship in general. Maybe it felt very adventurous. Maybe it was a different person than you ever would have gone for in the past, and it just felt very fulfilling and very exciting. Again, it could be either your sun, moon, or rising, or theirs. Next, we have Root. So this shows strength and grounded. So the other thing with Root chakra is that it really deals with your like sexual urges as well. So this is once more giving me this feeling like it was very like sexually charged. You guys had a lot of lust for one another, and maybe this is why you guys connected, and why you have such a hard time in letting go is maybe it has something to do with you think back on how well you guys connected on that front, and you're afraid of not having that again, or you miss that feeling of being with this person who was able to fulfill you in that way. But we do see strength and grounded here. And so it's giving me this feeling like you will be able to bring yourself back up to a point where you feel very grounded in yourself and you have that strength to push on to find someone else who does connect with you. And then lastly, any further messages for group 2? We have smoky quartz coming out with protection. So you are very protected during this time. And just because you're thinking about this person, it's not going to be like they suddenly pop up out of nowhere and message you. Or if they do, you are going to have the strength to resist talking to them. I'm getting the feeling like most of you kind of wish they would reach out, but you know it's not good for you. Like deep down, you're really struggling with letting go of this person and this devil here. So overall, let's recap for you, group number 2. We have the 7 of Wands here that's showing us this challenge. Either you guys had a very competitive relationship or you really needed to fight tooth and nail to make it work. We had the devil drop out with the moon in the reverse position, so there's a lot of confusion there. There's a lot of addiction showing. Maybe you're still very, very strung up on this person. You don't want to let go because of the way this person made you feel. This could also indicate a very handsome or just charming male in particular. Next, we have the 10 of Wands in the reverse position that is showing that you possibly saw that this was just so much work. Like you were taking on way too much in order to just run this relationship. And sometimes you think about this when you were trying to avoid the responsibility of your day-to-day life. We also had the Empress and the 4 of Cups fall out towards the end of the reading, with the Empress indicating you, someone who's going to be able to bounce back to your natural state of being. You're going to be able to be your feminine, beautiful self and express yourself to the world once more. But you're currently, I think with the moon in reversed, especially above it, is that you're just in this moment of confusion and you feel just very apathetic and like you don't know where to go beyond this karmic almost relationship that you had to go through. And it's leaving you very much very stuck in your emotions and needing to meditate or reevaluate your life to this point before you can move on from them. We're seeing that this was very lust-driven and could possibly still be something that you think about. But lastly, you are protected during this time. So if you do not want this person coming back to your life, then you do have this protection here where they're not going to make an appearance again. Even whether you do or don't want that, I don't see them coming back to you. And if they do, you're going to have the strength to be able to have your self-confidence and your self-worth be a part of you and keep them out of your space. So if you liked this reading or it resonated with you, remember to leave a like, comment, and subscribe for more tarot pick a card readings in the future, and also to join the Crow Coven. And also, if it's safe to do so, group number 2, please let me know if this resonated. I'm very interested, a little bit nosy about this situation, especially the fact that the Devil and the Moon flew out, and then the Empress and the 4 of Cups making that intense appearance. Do these represent you two? And does this sound close to your past relationship? Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in our next video. Hello, group number 3, and welcome back to your reading all about whether or not they will return to your life, if they will come back into your life. So before I get started, I first wanted to point out, if you missed it in the intro, that this is going to be dealing with a connection that you guys specifically had some sort of romantic connection. Just in case you missed it in the intro, it can be a very different reading if you were thinking about somebody who was a platonic situation or somebody else. This is very much if you guys are exes. If you guys had a like touch and go sort of situation where it was like a will they, won't they, and then you guys just never came into union, and you're just sort of wondering, since you've drifted apart, if there is the possibility of coming together. I also wanted to point out, if you see any differences in the lighting or the placement of anything, I did have to film a little bit later on in the day, so my apologies on that front. So let's get started, group number 3. You chose the Kauai Tarot along with this pink agate crystal. And with this stone here, this can really help in harmonizing opposites, especially if you guys gave off very opposite vibes. Say you are very like reserved, quiet, maybe shy person, and they were just a very confident, boisterous, loud sort of personality. Or if you are more of a stubborn, hardworking, and just sort of more reserved, then they are just more of a free spirit and like to sort of just play around, maybe a little bit more silly of a personality. This could be indicative of you two and how your energy flowed together. So it could be that you guys were very much opposites attract. The other thing with the pink agate crystal is that it can help in overcoming anger and bitterness of the heart. So if you left on negative terms, it can be here to help shelter and protect you during this time. If you still feel upset when you think about them, as if it was like, I'm getting very strong X vibes for most of you on this. That may not be the situation, but for some of you, I am getting a very strong message, which is strange because in group 1 and 2, I actually didn't get time frame messages, but for you guys, group 3, I'm getting this very strong pull of this was something that happened a long time ago. So you guys were in union a very long time ago, and you still sometimes think about this person, and you still kind of think whether or not they would come back to your life. Maybe even not even necessarily like a romantic connection, but if there was any way that you guys could just speak to one another again. And if there is that anger and that bitterness, with this being able to harmonize the opposites, it could possibly be indicative to some of you that there may be a chance that they realize their mistakes and they come forward to you and apologize to you because of something. That's not going to be for everyone. We're not all blessed to be lucky enough to have people who have hurt us to come back into our lives and actually apologize for what they've done. But when it does happen, it is a beautiful thing, and it is something that I'm seeing for some of you. So before I pull your tarot cards, I also wanted to roll this Astro dice. I wanted to see if we could get any indication of either your sun, moon, or rising or theirs, and whether or not this can kind of help point you in the right direction. If you're like torn between two groups, we'll see if this one is resonating with you. The first one I'm seeing is Sagittarius. Ooh. Then we have Sagittarius a second time, and it just sort of dropped. Like when I tossed that dice, it just went plop. And lastly, we have Virgo. So I will set that down here. And then the last thing I'm going to do before we get into your reading is I'm going to pull 5 different tiles, and we're going to see if we can get any initials. So it could be letters within you or this person's name, or it could be a nickname initial as well. The first one we have coming out is Q. Then we have O. B, R, and lastly N. And as I was seeing B and R, I was thinking the name Brian, and then pulling the N that just further confirmed it for me was Brian. I also see Brown there as well, perhaps like a last name. So let's go ahead and get started. I hope you've been doing well, Group 3. I hope the week has treated you nicely. Let's get into these channeled messages. Will Group 3's person come back into their life? The first I'm seeing is the Three of Swords. Then we have the Six of Swords in the reverse position. Then we have the Seven of Swords. Wow. Then we have the Nine of Swords. Those last two are in the reverse position as well. And lastly, we have Death. So there's a lot going on here. The first thing I wanted to point out when I was shuffling, being reminded of rolling 2 of Sagittarius, that is fire. So we're seeing a lot of fire sign there. So even if either you or they aren't a Sagittarius, if you have other fire sign placements, I'm leaning mostly toward Leo, but there's a possibility of Aries being available and in there as well. But I really would obviously say first and foremost Sagittarius, but then I'm also hearing and feeling Leo. And then pulling these cards, we are seeing so much of the air sign as well. So there's just a lot. I always equate air signs as like freedom. I'm a Gemini, so I really see air embodying freedom. So in this relationship, I don't know if at any point you guys felt very free when you were in it. I'm getting the very opposite effect from seeing the cards. I'm getting this feeling like you guys felt trapped, like almost bound, as if there was something keeping you there for some reason and you couldn't release, and you maybe still can't release. Again, for those of you who are dealing with a situation where this is a long time coming, like you guys have been separated for such a long time, I'm getting this feeling almost like you're still not quite free from them. So let's go ahead and get started with your reading. On the far left side, we are seeing the Three of Swords. And in this card, this is kind of telling the story of you guys beyond, or maybe the end point of the relationship and moving onward. Because to be outright with you guys, just seeing the cards like I am now, I don't think that this relationship is even necessarily good for you to go back to, whether or not you guys would once again see one another. In Death, I'm seeing this almost influx moment where there is such a possibility of change that I'm going to say maybe, like overall, the vibes I'm getting is maybe, which you are the first group that I've had that has had a maybe in the reading. But I'm also still heavily seeing that this should not be sought after. And we will go into it. So the first thing we're seeing here with the Three of Swords is that this was like pure heartbreak. This was pure like sorrow. And whether or not this was your relationship in general, or if it was because of you needing to separate with this person. This card indicates a painful separation. So it was very hard to get over. You could still have that anger and bitterness in your heart that is keeping you stuck thinking about this person. Or they could still have had communications with you for a while, so it felt very painful in dealing with that pulling away. You were never able to just fully like cut it out and be able to be free and move on. Or it could just be indicating the relationship itself was very sorrowful. There was a lot of grief. There was a lot of just pain. I'm just feeling like gross. Like my chest hurts and I just feel like really like I can't express myself. So I kind of feel like that's how you felt in it. In the Six of Swords in the reverse position, we're seeing this stuck ability again, this inability rather to move on. This is flat out telling me that you can't move on from the situation and that you have baggage from this. It's unfortunately like calling you out like really really forwardly, and that there is a need for change, but because you keep thinking this way, they keep coming back to your mind. In the Seven of Swords, this is dealing with having these mental challenges, these mental blocks, and needing to break free, or finally getting to the point where you're able to break free. And I think this is going to be this is almost so harsh of a reading that I hope it almost like this is kind of like a wake-up call. If you're seeing this and this is resonating with you and you're like seeing yourself in these symbols, seeing yourself in this reading or things that you've thought about before, I think you need to find a way to take these swords and be able to wield them with your power again and be able to cut away from this person, because I really don't think that you are doing well with them even remotely tied to your life. Does that make sense? It just feels very like, again, I was talking earlier about freedom. It feels very closed off and like you're unable to have that freedom and have that like ability to finally be yourself again. In the Nine of Swords reversed as well, this one talks about this feeling of hopelessness, this feeling of depression and torment, and like you are just unable to make that change and be able to go on. And for some of you, maybe you're seeing this almost as, because this was such a painful separation and you've only felt pain since then, you look back on this relationship almost with like rose tinted glasses and you're like, yeah, but I was like so happy in parts of this relationship and my life has been so downhill from that point and it's been so long that how am I going to be happy again? Like I was happy because like you can, this is like a weird little thing, but like seeing the heart here and then there's just devoid of the heart anywhere else, it feels like you like lost a piece of your heart in that time. And so now you're almost like, again, looking back on it and being like, well, if I had them back, like maybe things would be differently now that so much time has passed. Or maybe you're feeling like I need them to apologize for what happened, or I need some sort of closure or something before I can actually move on, because we're seeing this mounting of the swords as well, starting with the 3, but then 6, 7, and then 9. It feels almost like as time is going on, there's just collecting more and more of this baggage and this inability to let go. But along with this, we do see death, and this card, almost never literally deals with actual death. I have to imagine for someone out there, it literally means it. But generally, this card does not deal with it whatsoever. It can deal with endings, but this card normally deals with endings and beginnings, and having this transitional period and having this change going on. And that's why I was saying maybe, because we had so much in the minor arcana sphere, and then we had such a major card at the end that is here to show that there is something changing. So for some of you, that's why I was seeing it as it could possibly be that maybe this person realized everything that they did and their hand in making it so painful, and they may be coming back into your life to apologize to you, but it would take a very specific person who would be strong enough and able to put their pride aside to do that. So the other thing that I'm seeing is that this could potentially just be your own transformation and you realizing that you don't need to be thinking on them as much, especially because of just how harsh these other cards were. Like when I was pulling the cards, I was just like, oh my, they're gonna be, group 3 is going through it and they're going to be so upset with me. But it could be that maybe you needed to hear this to kind of like kickstart this need to heal from this situation. Overall, though, I am still seeing a maybe. And that is not, it's not a direct yes or no, like when you're coming to this video being like, yeah, I finally want to get some answers, but now you're kind of still in a limbo moment. I think wanting it is a negative to you. I think you do better without them, but the letting go is what's been so hard. So let's continue on in your reading. I want to pull just a couple more cards for you guys. I know it's been long already, but we are going to pull just a few more cards just for any last messages for group 3. The first card we have coming out is Cancer. So Cancer deals very, very heavily with emotions. It says nurturing, loyal, and sensitive. So it could be showing either your traits or maybe that was what you felt in the relationship. And that's why it's so hard to let go. Also, almost every Cancer that I have known who, when they are in a relationship, particularly a bad one, they have a very hard time in being able to, excuse me, I just burped, being able to let go of their situations. Having a hard time in being able to work through those emotions and process things. Any last messages for group 3? We have solar plexus, which shows ambitious and self-confidence. So I'm getting, again, another like fire sign. So either you or this person has a fire sign in your chart. Especially this ambitious and self-confidence is once more pulling me towards Leo. All fire signs kind of have that, but maybe it's specifically because I know so many Leos, but this is something that they always portray very heavily. Especially when they're in their higher frequency, they're able to portray their self-confidence very, very well. I also am trying to think. The other message that I'm pulling from this too is trying to see what you have in your life now versus trying to think back on this relationship. So being able to take in the positive of the sun and try to help guide you towards that that change, that need for change and growth. And lastly, we have citrine, which says abundance. And also this card deals with positivity and happiness just in general. And also, once more, having this symbolism of the sun. So this warmth between these. I'm also seeing here, especially because it's like underneath the death card, is being like it's time to change. That could honestly, it could just be my bias coming out and trying to help you through this, but really needing to work on bringing in more positivity into your life, work on manifesting more abundance for yourself, because you're worth more than what this person left you as. That you need to see that in yourself, and you need to start taking those steps and giving more to yourself so you can have more of that self-confidence and have more abundance for yourself. So anyway, thank you guys for getting this far in your reading. I know this was a doozy. Once again, to recap, I am seeing that there is this feeling of you guys being opposites, or still lingering and having this hardship and this pain that you're dealing with. I got the clear message that this was a very old relationship, whether you guys were in it for a long time. So I'm thinking, like, if you guys were in the relationship for like 3+ years, or if it's been like 10-ish years since it happened. That's kind of the vibes that I'm getting. With the Three of Swords, there was this painful separation. There was a sorrow, this heartbreak, this pure heartbreak that happened from when you guys did separate. With the Six of Swords, we had that you're unable to move on. You're really carrying all that baggage from this separation. The Seven of Swords is this mental challenge of you having such a hard time wrapping your head around how to move on past this point, but seeing a need to break free and needing to be able to wield these swords to your benefit and cut away all of the cords that hold you to this person. But lastly, we're seeing in the Nine of Swords reverse this really, really depressed state, this torment that you're going through, that you keep going through because of this person. But truly, lastly, we're seeing in the Death card that there is some change happening. It could be for some of you on the part of the other person that they may realize their hand in this situation and come back to apologize. Or it could be that you are recognizing things in yourself that need to change, and you're going to step up for yourself and make those moves to be able to change. So again, thank you guys so much for getting to the end of your reading. If you liked this reading or it resonated with you, feel free to leave a like, comment, and subscribe for more tarot pick card readings in the future, and to join the Crow Coven. And if you feel safe to do so, let me know if this resonated with you. Especially, I'm looking for these messages of the time frame. If it was a long-lasting relationship, or if it happened a long time ago. That was such a strange pull that I had for some of you. You don't have to get into the nitty-gritty if you don't want to, because that's a lot to leave in a comment, but I definitely am interested to see if that did resonate with some of you. Hopefully you guys are in a better place and you're able to work on yourselves and really heal from the situation, and I will see you guys in our next video. Hello, group number 4, and welcome to your reading all about whether or not they will come back to your life. So to get things started, I just wanted to point out that if you missed it from the intro, that this reading in particular is going to be dealing with things of the romantic notion. So this is going to be your exes. This is going to be someone that you had either a on again, off again sort of situation, or maybe you guys never quite came into union. Those are going to be the vibes for this video. So if you missed it in the intro, that is what we're talking about today. So to get started, you guys chose the Pink Pain Tarot deck along with this yellow adventuring. And in this gemstone here, we are seeing this this really beautiful color here, this honey color, which really helps in alleviating grief and also balancing your emotions. So we're seeing this as a very compassionate and loving sort of situation. For some of you, this is going to be directly correlating to the relationship that you're thinking about. It could be that you guys really truly had a lot of compassion for one another, a lot of love for one another, but for some reason or another, you aren't together. On the other side of things, this can also really help in recovering from grief and also again, needing to center those emotions. So it could be that this connection left you with a lot of pain at the end of the day. It could be that you're still holding on to pain and grief from the relationship, and that's there to kind of help guide you during this reading. This gemstone is also really good for when you need to have a little bit of help in alleviating migraines or headaches in general. So I'm getting this feeling like maybe this person, like, whenever you think about them, it just like twists you up. It just like makes your mind jump through all these like loops because you're trying to think of like what is going on with them. Like they just frustrate you to the point where you actually get migraines. So some of you who deal with having physical symptoms when you think about people, or just then when you think back on that relationship, you realize, oh man, I had a lot of headaches when I was dealing with them, kind of thing. That could be indicative for you guys. So before we get started, I also wanted to say that if you noticed any placement changes here from the intro, or if the lighting is different, my apologies, but I had to actually film you and group 3 later on in the day. So this is actually at night. So you have those nighttime vibes going on. So sorry about that. The first thing I'd like to do is roll this Astro dice. So this is going to hopefully help indicate either your sun, moon, or rising, or theirs, and also help to solidify that this is indeed your group. So if you were pulled to a different group and you're not seeing you guys as signs in here, this can kind of help clarify that. The first thing we have coming out here is Capricorn. Next we have Virgo. And lastly, we have Virgo once more. So there's a lot of earth sign energy there. I also was going to say, in this yellow adventuring, the being able to center or balance your emotions really made me think of grounding yourself, made me think of earth sign energy as well. So that's just something to point out. If you guys aren't Capricorn or Virgo, perhaps you're Taurus, and it's just coming out in that way. So we're going to also pull a few tiles. I'm going to pull 5 for you guys, and these can be your either you guys's like first or last initials, or it could be like in either of your names, or it could possibly be a nickname that you had for one another. So the first one we have coming out is H. Then we have R. Next we have V. Then there's K. And lastly, we have E. So just some more clarification, some more indication that this is your reading for the day. So let's go ahead and get into your tarot cards. So hopefully you have been having an amazing week, group 4. Hopefully that has been going well for you. These cards are so slippery, my goodness. The first card that sort of slid out was the Page of Knives. Can we channel some messages from group 4's person, from the universe, whether or not they will meet again? We have the Fool in the reverse position. Next we have the 3 of Wands in the reverse position. 2 more. The Queen of Cups. And 1 more. The 3 of Pentacles. All right. So to get started with your reading, you guys have probably, I'd say, almost the least offensive reading. Group 1 and 2 were very strongly no. And group 3 was a maybe, but it was like, it was almost kind of like you'd be better off without him. But in yours, I'm actually seeing the first yes. There's still some baggage, though, is what I'm seeing. I'm still seeing some heartbreak. I'm still seeing a little bit of pain, but it is not as dramatic, I'd say, as other ones. I'm getting almost like wrong place, wrong time kind of vibes, where it almost feels like you guys, something keeps getting in your way. So it feels almost like some of you are like, maybe you were in a relationship and they were really interested in you, and then they got into a relationship, but you broke up with someone else, and then you were into them, and there was just never a point where it aligned. That's kind of what I'm getting from this. I'm actually getting a fairly strong yes, which is so strange. I honestly thought that after those first 3 groups, I was like, the 4th one is also going to be negative. But no, I'm not seeing strong negativity, which is good. That's a very good sign if you guys are interested in meeting back up with this person. So firstly, I'm seeing in this Page of Knives, or Page of Swords rather, we're seeing this very curious behavior. We're seeing someone who's very energetic. We're seeing this almost like it gives me this like constantly thinking about this person. You're mentally like restless, maybe so much so to the point where you literally get headaches about them. It's like you just are so, you or they are both, you're both just constantly thinking about each other. It's just never aligning for some reason. This can also indicate someone who's very talkative, or there's maybe even talks going on. Like maybe you guys aren't completely separated, but you're not like union either. Or maybe it's like this want to talk to this person. Maybe that's what's coming through, is either you wanting to talk to them, or they really want to talk to you, or both of you are feeling the same way, where it feels like you're curious about chatting, you really want to reach out, but you're not sure, and maybe they're not sure about if they should reach out to you or not. Very interesting. Next, we have the Fool in the reverse position, and I was like, when I saw this, it gave me that kind of like, it felt like that journey couldn't start. So for a lot of you, this isn't everyone, but for a lot of you, it almost feels like you never reached that point of actually dating. For those of you who like, this was an ex though, and like the earlier mention of it just not the right timing or something, I'm feeling like it just wasn't the right timing in you guys' lives for you guys to see eye to eye. Like you didn't want to compromise on something, or you guys were just at different growth periods, and that's why there's this Fool moment here where it stopped. Because generally this is like spontaneity, this free spirit who's like beginning a new journey. But with it reversed, I'm getting that very much like it stopped, like the journey could not happen. It can indicate like foolishness and like risk taking and just being reckless in general. So it could almost be like maybe you are thinking about chatting with this person, and like sometimes it comes to your mind and like you get to the point where you almost message them or they almost message you, but then like you stop because you're like, let's think with our brains for a minute instead of just jumping into it. So I think it's coming out as kind of a warning, but also letting you know not to not take it seriously. What do I want to say here? More like just think things through before you jump to something. Like if you are stopping yourself from sending messages, there may be a reason, and you may have to do a little bit more thinking before you get to that point. In the Three of Wands in the reverse position, we are seeing this delay again. We're seeing that there's some obstacle that's in your way that's keeping you from being able to reach your goals. So there's something that you want, but you can't quite get there. Or there's like this inability to see beyond the present moment. So maybe it's this fear of you can't quite envision yourself being able to talk with this person for some time. So that's what's giving you this like hang up and why it's so frustrating to you. But we are seeing in the Queen of Cups, she is very much someone who is in tune with her emotions. How we were talking about centering the emotions, grounding them. She's very much someone who she has such control over herself. She has this calmness about her, and she's able to think with her intuition. You see how like these rays are coming off the back of her head? It's like she's getting all these messages, and she's just so aligned with herself that she doesn't need to rely on other people to make the decisions for her. And she does have this ability to have her emotions just so in control. We also mentioned in the Yellow Adventuring here that this is about compassion, and that is one of her indicators as well, is that she is about compassion. So I kind of feel like you guys like really feel for one another, and that you guys still do. Even if this was like an ex, maybe you guys left on bad terms. I get this feeling like you guys keep having this touch and go moment with each other. Like you're either not sure if you should message each other or if you should block each other on social media, or maybe you are talking and you aren't sure if like you're ever going to reach that point again of like getting back together. But I feel like you both still really care about each other. This is so wild. I honestly thought that all of these readings were going to be like, no, don't do it. But yours is so strongly like, yes, or like things are okay if you guys do talk. The last one we're seeing here with the Three of Pentacles is why I am getting this strong lean towards yes, is that the Three of Pentacles deals with teamwork, and it deals with like learning things about each other, learning things because of one another, and really collaborating on something together. And it can also mean like fulfillment. So it can really indicate that yes, you guys have this chance to be able to actually talk to one another again, that they'll be able to come into your life, and that you guys, even if it's not on a romantic level, like if you don't want that anymore, you don't have to pursue that. But if you wanted understanding, if you wanted closure, if you wanted just friendship again, I think that you both care about one another so much enough that you guys can meet in the middle, and whatever differences you had, you can come to an understanding to where you can have a civil discussion or even become friends again. This is really cute. I'm so happy for you guys. I'm like over the moon about this because it was looking dire, everybody. don't tell the other groups, but it was looking shaky for a while. So I'm very pleased that I did get such a clear, almost soft message. It must be like the practical nature of the earth sign energy that I'm seeing. You guys are talking with very almost the grounded, practical mindsets. Or maybe it's too that like your emotions and your feelings for one another are just so rooted at like your foundation. I almost feel like you guys broke up because of, this is just a message for some of you, obviously. This is not going to resonate with everyone, but like, it feels like you guys almost didn't even want to break up, where it almost felt like you had to for some reason. And this is going to sound weird. So to clarify, the thought process that I'm going through is like, you guys were either like realized you were just so deeply just friends, but you still like really care about one another, or like you had to go to school in different places and it just would not work long distance, so you're like kind of waiting until you guys can like see each other again. That sounds so weird. I don't know. All right, we're gonna go a little bit further in you guys' reading for any last messages for group 4. Can we get anything else? They already had such a positive reading, so let's finish off on a high note. We have a Pisces coming through. So here is that emotion. It says imaginative, empathetic, and adaptable. And Pisces, being a water sign, it deals with the emotions as well. And they always give me kind of like really soft, like almost puppy love sometimes, because Pisces can get lost in dreams and can get lost in this sort of like fantasy world of like, they'll meet somebody and they'll be planning out their wedding kind of vibes. So it almost feels like you guys have that such a soft connection, and really being able to just feel for one another. That empathetic nature from Pisces is really coming through. I think you guys really are generally on the same page as one another. Next, we have Rose Quartz came through, and this says self-love and compassion again. We keep seeing compassion come through. That's so wild. I feel like in self-love, I'm seeing it almost as like you just like felt so good being with them, and like they never made you like sacrifice things from yourself. Like you were able to be who you wanted to be around them, and you were able to fulfill things because they were just so like gentle with you and you were gentle with them, that you were able to have things for yourself. Any last messages for group 4? We have Crown. So in this one here, it shows connected and elevated. So whenever I see this one, I always immediately think of that you guys are still connected in some way. So like we talked about before, is that I feel like there's some sort of connection still that's going on. Maybe you guys still follow each other on social media, or like maybe you're still in kind of the same friend group, so you can't really like get away fully from this person. Not that I feel like you want to, I feel like you don't want to. And elevated, I feel like you guys are working on a higher frequency. If you weren't before, like say you guys like were together and had to break up, or like it was this touch and go kind of situation, I feel like you guys have learned something through this process, and now you guys are operating on this higher frequency, this more elevated frequency, to where you guys can finally come back and make things work if that's something that you want to do. Even if you guys are exes, I think that if you both are interested, I think that you can really pull toward that again and really have them in your life again. So to recap group number 4, I almost said something else. You have a very strong yes energy here. You have this Page of Swords that is saying that you are feeling really curious. You keep thinking about them. You have just this really intense, energetic energy, this need to and want to talk to them, or they're feeling that about you. But there's something going on with this Fool reverse that's stopping you from making that journey happen. There's almost this naive kind of nature to you where you are either afraid of taking risks or you're afraid of being seen as a fool if you reach out. Maybe that's something that's going on too. Maybe you guys are holding back because one or both of you are feeling like, I'm literally gonna look like a clown if I message my ex. So maybe that's a message for some of you, is that you're just afraid that you're going to be taking too many risks if you do reach out. But we're seeing in the 3 of Wands in the reverse position that, again, there's some delay, there's some obstacle that's keeping you from really making that movement there. And I think, if anything, it's almost like just indicating that it's a delay in the short term. I think there's something you either need to learn a little bit more, or you just need to wait. Like, the timing has to be perfect, and then suddenly you guys are gonna like sync up again. Because we have the Queen of Cups here, who is very much she's very like just overall emotionally secure, very calm, listens to herself because she's super intuitive, and once more compassionate. We had compassion hit things multiple times in this reading, so I really feel like you guys care so deeply for one another. And then lastly, in the 3 of Pentacles here, we do have this teamwork, this collaboration with one another, and also an indication of fulfillment going on, that I truly think that you guys, if that's something that you want, I think that you guys can meet once more in this lifetime and work something out if that's something that you're interested in. We have this Pisces energy that's giving this like soft emotional energy, this dreamy, almost like fantasy vibe. The Crown we have connected and elevated, so I feel like you guys are still either in talks with one another, or you have a similar friend group, or there's something like social media wise, you guys are still connected on that level. And then lastly, with the Rose Quartz, we have the self-love and compassion again coming through. So thank you guys for getting to the end of your reading. If you liked this reading or it resonates with you, feel free to leave a like, comment, and subscribe for more tarot pick a card readings in the future, and also to join the Crow Coven. And also, I am so curious. You guys had me like the most excited and curious out of all these groups, because this is such a positive moment. Like, I kind of want to know, are you gonna reach out to them? Like, if it's safe to do so, can you let me know if any of this resonated? Because really, honestly, it feels so distinct and so different from the rest of the groups that I am getting this feeling like you guys are on the precipice of like talking again. It's so interesting. I'm so curious. That's my Gemini coming out, my nosy little wanting to know the gossip vibes happening. But anyway, again, thank you guys so much for watching your reading, and I hope you guys feel great after this one. You feel a little bit more confident, and I will see you guys in our next video.